Good day everyone, this is Alvin again from the Philippines and welcome to my top 10 best in national costume for Miss Universe 2022. Welcome! So earlier, after the preliminary competition, the national costume was held as well. This will be the first video that I will be uploading today. After this, I will be uploading my top favorites for the swimsuit and evening gown preliminary. So be sure to check it out as well. Now let's go ahead and talk about the top 10 favorite national costumes in my opinion. Again, this is just my personal preference. There's a lot of national costumes that were showcased earlier. So let's see how many do we have in common. Let's begin. Starting with my number 10, Indonesia. Laksmi Dinip Swardana. The costume is inspired by the glory of Finisea, and it is just amazing as expected. And I'm glad that it delivered when it was on the stage. As always, I have always loved the headpiece. It showcased the boat, the ship, and the overall costume was just fantastic. And Laksmi delivered and carried that costume beautifully. Number 9 goes to Colombia. Maria Fernanda Aristizabal Urrea. The inspiration of her costume is the Phoenix Queen, and I am amazed by her execution. I love how she flapped those wings. It is one of the best made wings this edition. It was so good, and it really showcased not only the costume, but she also looked super beautiful in that costume. Really good. I love the colors. She just shined bright, and she's just a queen, just like the inspiration of the costume itself, the Phoenix Queen. That's what she really showcased during that presentation. My number 8 goes to Ingracia Mofaman from Ghana. The costume depicts the first and only female war leader from her country. And to be honest, I don't want to go into fantasy here, but her costume screams like the Queen of Wakanda vibes. It was so good, it was so powerful, it was so majestic. I love the overall costume. Gold works perfectly together, and I also love the illustration at the bottom part of the dress. Everything was just so beautiful. The headpiece, the trident, the trident that she's holding. Beautiful costume. It really showcased how rich and beautiful not only Ghana but the entire African region. My number 7 goes to Puerto Rico. Ashley Carino, inspired by the radio telescope. And we have already talked about this before. What I love about Ashley Carino's costume is that I'm so glad, let's begin by saying that I'm so glad that everything worked, because there are cases where the costume doesn't work perfectly during the presentation. So for Ashley, I'm so glad that everything worked perfectly. The frontal facade of the costume looked very beautiful. She looked amazing in it, very futuristic, but the highlight is really when she turns around and showed the hologram, showcasing the flag of Puerto Rico, some famous Puerto Rican personalities, the Coqui Frog. That was just so good. That is the kind of innovation and out-of-the-box thinking that I'm expecting to see in future editions of Miss Universe, something that really embraces technology. Number 6 goes to Vietnam. Ngoc Chau. The national costume is inspired by the mat weaving village in Vietnam, and I'm always so amazed by a national costume that highlights the product of their people, especially that mat weaving is a very difficult job to do, and the way that they were able to transform these amazing mats into something as amazing as this costume is just super amazing, inspirational, and something that you can really be proud of as a Vietnamese. Look at this, super beautiful, and I'm so glad that Ngoc Chau really gave justice by the way she delivered that costume. Number 5 goes to Argentina. Barbara Cabrera. Her costume was inspired by the Iguazu Falls, and it was a very huge costume. So when she came out, it really needs a lot of adjustment so she can go into stage, but I loved it. I love how huge it is. It is so festive, but the back part of the costume also appears as, waterfall. It really appears like water falling from the waterfalls. It's really a beautifully made costume, and I also admire Barbara for carrying a costume that big and that beautiful. So hats off to her. We have to commend her for doing her best in delivering and executing a wonderful presentation. Next we have number 4, Guatemala. Ivana Bachelor. From here on out, number 4 to number 1, I wouldn't mind if whoever wins, because these 4 are just screaming best in national costume vibes already. Ivana Bachelor, many of you wanted this to win as well. This is just so good. And the inspiration of this is owed to Guatemala, because everything about that costume has a meaning to their country. And if you have watched the presentation, she carried something as big as that. But I also love how, if you look at each and every detail of the costume, it's really meaningful. The costume is beautifully designed, and of course the execution of Ivana helped as well to make it a bit more powerful and impactful. So don't be surprised if this could also go home as one of the best in national costume. Number 3 goes to, this one excites me a lot when it came out, Trinidad and Tobago, Tia Jane Raimi. This is just so beautiful. It's very carnival vibes. I loved it. I really did not expect it. I'm not sure if I have missed the updates, if they were able to reveal it before or not. But if they do, I probably missed it. But it was just so good. I'm so happy. I was wowed when it came out. And Tia definitely delivered and showcased that costume very well. I'm also rooting for this to win best in national costume. As what I've said, any of my top 4 could win. I really love this. So hats off to Trinidad and Tobago. Oh my gosh, you reminded me again at how I love Trinidad and Tobago, especially in 2006 when Kenisha Thom delivered that amazing red national costume. You're doing it again. It only means that you need to stay in Miss Universe every year, okay? This is beautiful. Really good. My number 2 goes to the United States, Arboni Gabrielle. I am just smiling when she came out on stage, because that costume is really made by someone who's really taking the competition very seriously. I mean, she's carrying the moon behind her. I mean, what could be more amazing than that? The costume is inspired and is a celebration for NASA's Johnson Space Center, which is located in her hometown, and also a commemoration of the first man on the moon, with hopes that women could also step on the moon as well. That is just so good. I know it could be a perfect inspiration to have the first man on the moon as a national costume, but Arboni just definitely presented it in a way that I could never have imagined, but she did it perfectly. I really loved it. But I also saw an image where there are some lights, and the moon just perfectly lit and highlighted these bumps that we usually see on the moon, which makes it more realistic. I wish there was light, but even if what we've saw has no lights at all, she still managed to deliver it very well. I love that. So I wouldn't mind this winning too. But for the purpose of ranking, my choice for best in national costume goes to Ukraine. Victoria Apanasenko. I just love Ukraine's costume simply because it may not be everybody's choice, but I loved it. I felt like there's nothing more meaningful than this costume. Of course, we know the situation in their country, but I'm glad that she was able to they were able to create something that really symbolizes hope. I mean, the symbol of the costume, the inspiration and the name of the costume is Warrior of Light, and there's nothing more inspiring than that. That gives so much hope for their country and for their people. And seeing her showing that on stage, showing courage, I really love that, and I really wish that this will have a huge shot in winning the best in national costume. Aside from that, it's a beautiful costume. She looked beautiful in it, and Victoria was able to execute that beautifully, especially with all the sword moves that she did. I love that. So these are my top 10 favorite national costumes from Miss Universe 2022, and I'm looking forward to know your thoughts as well, whether you agree with my list of favorites or not. So, don't forget to leave your comments below. Don't forget to give a thumbs up and share the video as well. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe because you'll be seeing more of these videos in the future. For now, thank you very much and have a wonderful day from the Philippines.